This is video number 3 of 3 of our series Dark Canyon to Beef Basin to Fable Canyon. On this video we'll be going across the Gypsum Canyon into Fable Canyon and exploring all of the amazing Anasazi Cliff Dwellings, the biggest, most interesting of all the trip. This is the Taj Mahal of the Anasazi Cliff Dwellings, where we found pottery and storage bins that still were full of the little corn cobs from 1,000 to 1,200 years ago. This is a Utah ride that Jim Klein and I, Jerry Vinker, did in second and third week of May 1995. We rode from Bears Ears all the way down through the Dark Canyon and then back up and over the top to Beef Basin, then up Fable Canyon, from Fable Canyon up to Moki Springs and to North Long Point, and then back up to the Elk Ridge and back home. Well, as you can see down in the corner, we rode about 117 miles in some beautiful country. And that didn't include the doubleback. Jim reminded me of a funny note that was left in the Skorup line cabin from video number 1. And I'll read it to you here. It says, "A note to a Seattle backpacker at the Skorup line cabin. The U.S. Forest Service requested comments from the public at the cabin log. Should the cabin be preserved and maintained by the Forest Service or removed from the wilderness area? The Seattle backpacker says, save the cabin, get rid of the cows." The next entry was obviously a local Utah cowboy who noted that the backpacking, pedal pushing, Nike pumping, granola grinding, tree hugging, beamer shining, law making, map marvel go back to Seattle and take his laws, ordinance, and book of rules back to Seattle with him. Here we go on a cliffhanger trail to Fable Canyon.
Okay, well, I'll give you a little bit of an idea where we just came from this morning, clear back at the far end of this valley. And we've seen the ruins and that up in that valley. What we're going to do from here is we're going to take off, and you see that big old flat top buffalo hump right there. We're going to go this side of that, all the way up the canyon until you come to that camel's hump there. We're going to go around it on the left-hand side, and then we're going to wrap back around and go up what they call Fable Valley. It's supposed to be one of the prettiest valleys in the area. So we might spend a day or two there.
With lots of Indian dwellings and just really wonderful scenery. So we're really looking forward to it. Quite an adventure. And right around the end of that big knob, right?
This is the head of the wilderness trail up into Fable Valley. We're just starting out, and this is supposed to be one of the greatest valleys around. It has lots and lots of ruins and cliff dwellings. We're going to go right up around the end of that big old camel's hump there. Yeah, we're always looking up in these mountains for ruins because there's just all kinds of them. They're not registered on any kind of a map or anything. As you go along, you just see them. There's a lot of them that have never even been explored yet. Yeah, one thing I thought I'd record before I forget it. Heidi owns the Dugout Ranch. She has 6,000 acres of deeded land and 350,000 acres of rangeland. They bought it all for $1 million. She was just offered $9 million for it here last year. Or no, 2 years ago they said. And she turned it down. She said she wouldn't know what else to do. Well, as you can see, we're giving him a breather. Jim took a little drink of water. He says, boy, we better find water quick. I'm about out. And there's that camel's hump we were looking at from down the valley. We're just about over it. Well, as you can see, we've reached the camel's hump here, and we're come into a big side canyon that drops out into Gypsum Canyon. You're looking out that direction. That's Gypsum Canyon out there. we're going to go clear back in this canyon, and as you see that little shelf across there, we're going to work out onto that shelf, and we're going to follow that shelf right on around the mountain. Clear on out around that point. Well, there's our buffalo hump right behind us, and we just come around the corner here, and look at what we've walked into. It's just a beautiful canyon. This is called Gypsum Canyon down in here. Oh, and really drops off deep. Ew. Ew. Yeah, they're getting to where they won't hardly move out of their tracks, aren't they? Boy, what a pretty place.
Well, I'll tell you, working around this trail isn't the easiest thing for the animals to do, because we got to drop all the way around this ledge here that you're looking at, right around that cliff there.
And I think we're coming up to a real view here. So I thought I'd just kind of let you see what it's like riding along here along these cliffs. It's not really too bad trail so far. They run stock through here, they claim. It's the only way out of Beef Basin in the wintertime. Boy, is that a pretty view down there. Ooh, bud. Well, we just came through some real spooky part of the trail. I had to put the camera away for a second, get my rope off my saddle horn. So if the mule went, I didn't have to go with her. But if you would believe it or not, this is a stock trail. This is how they run their cattle out of that Beef Basin. And they run hundreds ahead up this trail, right out across these cliffs. In fact, we were talking to Bill back at the camp, and he was saying that they had one that jumped off of one of these things about last year. His brother had to come up and butcher it out. But it doesn't look like there's any place to be healthy, just to be jumping off of a bank. Trail's getting a little better here now again. This looks like a whole series of skyscrapers down through here now. What an amazing canyon. As you ride on, it just keeps getting to be more and more amazing. Well, as you can see, the horses really got to pick their way through here. It's not a dangerous trail here, but it's just hard for them to walk because it's so rocky. As the cowboy back there called it, it's a slick rock trail. Whoa, I had to grab my horse's reins. He's heading out toward the edge of this slick rock. I really didn't want to get out on the edge of it because it looks like it'd be a pretty good sized jump. He'd have to have cushions in his feet. Bill asked us to close the gate up at the end of this trail, and I'm wondering if that's the gate. Right there. If it is, we'll go back and close it for him. Well, as you can see, even though we're in the desert, there are little oases all the way through. Just if you know where to find them, there's water. Usually in this country, if you follow deer or elk tracks, you'll find the water. Well, Bill asked us to close the gate for him, and little did we know we were going to be running into a couple of them, so Jim's back closing in another one. Not sure which one he wanted closed, but we'll just close them all. It's pretty amazing. Look right down here, you can see the spring coming right out of the wall, right underneath that big gypsum canyon wall. And that's looking out towards the Colorado River. This goes out and dumps down into the Colorado. If you can see this out beyond or not. Ay, 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 the world fell off. I tell you, it does make you feel weird walking out on the edge of this thing and looking down. This goes down forever. Wow. What a view. Well, they're all standing gladly. They appreciate the opportunity to stand still. Look at this wind holes blowing in this rock. Yeah, I thought I'd take a picture of this. Jim said the little guy stand down there with his hat on. That rock looks like. This is just a small portion of the canyon here. This is coming up Fable Canyon. Well, this is crystal clear spring water coming down out of here. Comes out of Fable Springs, up the way a ways. Well, I guess my horse wants to go across here. No, he's thirsty. That's what he wants. But this valley here, because of this springs, runs year-round, clear crystal water that there's... Heidi said that the thing is just full of ruins and cliff dwellings. Well, we're unloading for the night. This is Fable Valley. I don't know what camp this is, 6 or 7. And we're going to set our tent right here. See where that cactus is right there? That's right where we're going to set the tent. But before we do, we agreed that we'll get the shovel out and dig him out. Then this is Fable Valley from here on up. We stopped a little early last night. We thought it was Fable Valley Springs, but I don't think it was now that we gotten up the canyon a little farther. We think Fable Valley Springs is actually right up here around the corner now. Yeah, because that would mean we're headed right towards that ruin. It would be right down near the bottom next to the spring. Yeah, it could be. I don't know how accurate the maps are. Obviously, not real accurate. I think we can go up the main Fable Valley, then we can see that big cliff dwelling that she was talking about. No, it's the one over to the right is the one that's the main Fable Valley. But there is a ruin indicated right straight ahead of you, right at the base of this mountain here. Right over next to the stream. Well, there's a ruin we found just down here in Fable Valley. It's just kind of sitting right out on that point. You can see the rocks stacked up there, tipped over. Heidi was saying that that group that did the rocks without mortaring them in were about 500 AD. And then the Anasazis that did the cliff dwellings and mortared them in were somewhere around 1000. So they got a little smarter as they got older. Hard to get the horse to stand still sometimes. All I have to do now is teach him to quit breathing when I want. Well, there's one that's all mortared in. So that's probably more like 1,000 years ago, 1,200 years ago. Well, we decided to go up and explore this. So we just three-legged hobbled all of our animals, turned them loose in this little meadow, pulled the packs off of them, and hope they don't roll. And where we're going, we got around the back side here and we could see that it has a door going into the back deeper part of the canyon. So we're going to go up and explore it. Interesting, they did a pretty good job of mortaring that all in. They probably leave a hole in the back for ventilation for their fires. Well, we're standing on the roof of the Fable Valley to Anasazi. We're going to go down and see if anybody's home here. We got to crawl down over the edge here someplace. This is kind of a view from the roof patio of the Anasazi home. Another little butte out there would be a good spot for another one. Well, I'll give you an idea. This is the entrance to the Fable Valley Anasazis. I'll film you in flight. This is a little bit spooky. It's just right straight off. I think I'll hold it in the other hand so as I can have one hand for me and one hand for you. Isn't that interesting? It's not real big. Some kind of a little critter lives up here. Oh, and your standard bat shit on a wall.
Right, you can only get to it from where we're standing. The other side of the cliff drops off, so they could only be attacked from one direction. And this little door right here faced right where you'd be coming from, so you'd probably get an arrow.
Well, every time we go down a steep hill like this, little darling bucks because her load slides forward on her shoulders. So he's going to try tightening up her britchin before he takes her down this one. If not, we'll get on film the little bucking event as they come down. Well, he wasn't able to get out the britchin, so he's just going to leave it and see what happens. Okay, here comes the Appaloosa Rodeo. Tightens his hat, pulls up his chin strap. Well, maybe she's just, there we go. Well, this one here looks like maybe a hunter's camp. It's right at the intersection of these creeks where the big creeks come together. And we figured maybe it's a hunter's camp. They lay there and ambush game as it comes through.
Feed in this area here.
Boy, look at the feed in this valley. I mean, the horses, you can hardly make them walk. The grass is just waving in here. This looks like a natural spot. There's a spring comes right out of the side of the cliff up here. So we're watching intently to see if we can find any piled rocks up there. Yeah, this is quite a cliff dwelling here. There it is, right back in there. Looks like a very good site. Give you a look at the little Anasazi house here. This here looks like a hotel. Also put the date on here and the time, so I kind of remember when it was. In fact, this is the first time I've known what day and time it was for 3 or 4 days now. Lost my watch. Pin came out of it. There's another little must be like maid's quarters or something off to the side. We just about got up to this first one. We look across and we see the neighbors right over there. Oops. And we see the neighbors right over there. like it would be hard to even get to that one. It's just a sheer cliff. Maybe you get at it from the inside. Well, again, kind of dangerous getting to these things. A little ledge goes out, a little door. Well, as you can see, horses down below. Little Anasazi.
Deer drop off. So you be real careful when you head over there.
And now the amazing thing is,
Jerry's looking in here and he's seeing
the next one
little corn cobs that are
is next to impossible to get to.
about 4 inches long.
I think more
This
of
looks
the
like
rock
it
is
stayed
cleared
real
away since they
cool in here, so they probably stored their food in here. Yeah, look at it, just full of them.
must have lived here.
We decided not to walk over to this one. It looks just a little bit hairy, so we're going to leave that for some other adventuresome folks. Because as you can see, it's quite a long way down.
The hut's up here on the side. Let's see if I can let you have a look as I creep out there. Make sure none of this rock is loose. Shoo-wee. And this one is totally dark, but it is full of corn cobs. Hey Jim, this thing is clear full of little tiny corn cobs about 4 inches long.
Can't hear it, the wind.
This thing's clear full of little tiny corn cobs about 4 inches long.
Really?
It must be where they were storing their food, because it's real cool in here. I don't know whether you can see this or not. Yeah, I think you can. But they're little tiny corn cobs. And just think, some Anasazi Indian chewed the corn off of those some 1,200 years ago, 1,000 years ago. And now the amazing thing is,
Jerry's looking in here and seeing
the next one
little corn cobs that are
is next to impossible to get to.
about 4 inches long.
I think more of the rock has caved away since they used to
in
go
here, so
through
they
here.
probably stored their food in here. Yeah, look at it, just full of them.
I ain't going out to that one. That one looks like too hard to get to. I think that has caved off since, since the last 1,000 years. Well, that's where they stored their corn and everything over there, and now we're coming up to the main hacienda, I think.
The people that live here think there'd be all kinds of stuff.
Jim just found a piece of split bone here where they cracked the bone open to eat the marrow out. It's washed out from the years gone by. Well, this is a pretty major gathering place here. Big hole, all the smoke all over the top of it. We'll go on in and see if there's having a party tonight. I think this is the local Grange Hall is what it is. Isn't this amazing? Blocks all the wind. And they had little stone doors for, these must have been little sleeping quarters. Yeah. Hey, just like the Japanese little sleeping quarters they'd rent out, Boy, this is amazing. Well, here's where they used to have the fires. Still some charcoal left and bits of old wood. Oh, look at here's little bits of corn and Oh, pottery. Old pieces of pottery.
Let's just leave it there.
Oh, yeah. But they're old pieces of pottery that had been broken. They did little designs in the pottery.
Here's old pieces of pottery and the corn.
Can give you a look back out the other direction. They almost like the adobe haciendas. Yeah, I've still got 2 batteries left. Yeah, they at one time probably had a roof on this, but like the others, we noticed they probably caught a fire. Although the beams are, imagine those beams are over 1,000 years old. You can see where they've had the fire burning up the side right here, and for some reason they had a little stick sticking through the mortar, and that is consistent all the way around. They actually embedded wood right in the mortar
To hang things on.
yeah, but I mean, just like almost like
See, that was a hang thing. Just to
yeah,
hang stuff on.
yeah, probably could have been. Then they had the vent holes down at the bottom, and then the viewing holes so you can see out and see how you look out this hole and you can see right out into the valley, right where the trail goes through. And then if you move to the next hole, it looks at a different spot into the valley. They just had them all the way around. They had notches out the top for some reason. I think that they were smart enough to chunk a prop underneath of this thing so that any more of the rock wouldn't break off.
I think they'd use that tall grass for roofs on top of these.
That may have been what was up here, you know, and just decayed and went away through the years.
Yeah.
Now you can see where this is probably a little veranda. This is when you wanted to wine and dine them, you get them out here. Look at this. This is embedded right in. It used to be a ceiling of some sort across there. Yeah, and they've got water dripping down in the back, so they probably had little containers back there. Oh, look at that. It's got actually a little spring hole right here.
Notice the handprint on the rock above the spring. We never seen it until we got home looking at our videos.
Look at that, a little spring right there. They just, you know, just a continual drip. Probably had all the water they needed. Wow, I tell you, if a guy could get permission to just dig down in this dirt, in this soil here, I bet you'd find all kinds of stuff down in the soil.
I know a lot of this already been down too. If they just
Yeah,
put it on display here,
Yeah. See, this here went out onto the top of that veranda there.
I bet this is the fire pit right here.
Give you a view into the valley from here too. I don't know what else that would be. I guess storage maybe of corn and whatnot.
If they had a fire back here where all this is black,
Yeah.
it'd heat this whole thing.
Oh sure. It'd heat this whole thing up and
Here's somebody's been digging, see?
yeah. Right. It's probably where they found that pottery.
Corn cob.
Yeah. What an amazing spot. And the valley down there is self-irrigated. It's flood irrigated by a spring that comes out of the side of the mountain. And this must just have been more storage. Oh, a little critter just went down a hole there. Isn't this amazing? Storage areas, sleeping quarters. They probably lined them with furs back in there. Yeah, until you see the designs in that on the back side. Yeah, See, this probably was a pot of some kind. This one's is just real slick on.
See, this has got glaze on it.
Yeah. And these here, they got a little design. They probably had a little tool.
Here's the arrowhead making stuff here.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, it's that stone I was telling you about.
What an amazing feeling.
Every once in a while, somebody.
This kind of gives you an idea of the cave and looking out beyond. I don't know, it looks like calcium or something that comes down off the ceiling, see? It's probably just from drippings. Probably arsenic. Look at how they had this little door made with a stone to go in the door. Opens that into my abode, ma'am. No, that's just like a little bedroom. Must have been little bitty people. This pottery. This pottery's even got design in it, and it's been glazed just like china. Jim's over playing in the sandbox. Just stand by. Well, we're standing right here in the cave with, or who knows how many generations of Anasazi were raised and lived. Well, we finally found one of these little cactuses blooming. I guess we've been long enough here that it finally got to be close enough to spring.
Pretty, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, we just left that when we came down the valley. We thought we'd walk over and see the neighbor's house, and we just all of a sudden seen another one right back up in here. I don't know if I can find it. These must have been storage bins all over, because here's another one right up in the side of the wall here. And let's see, where is it? I can see it with my naked eye, but I can't. Well, I'm a little closer now. See if I can pick it out. Real cool inside of those things. Well, we're just right out here on a hillside and finding little chips of obsidian, which is not normal for this area, and little pieces of pottery laying around in the ground that's just been washed out.
Jerry, go film that old house.
Okay. Well, we're assuming this must have been some kind of a little ruin right here. A pile of rocks that may have been a house at one time.
We discovered that that pile was a pottery kiln, and that's why the pieces were laying all around.
Now here's another one back up in there. They just seem to be all through this valley. Well, this is kind of an interesting formation of rock with a... There you can see that arch. I had to... This one here has a little rock stacked all the way across this saddle. And then as you go up, there's one built right on the side, right there. And then all across the top they got rock stacked all the way across that. And that thing is just a pinnacle out in the middle of this valley. Well, this was our last camp in the canyon, so we're kind of sadly packing up and heading up out of here. Got a long ride today. That's the Anasazi lookout. Overlooks the crossing. We're heading up and out of this canyon, up on top. Probably have close to a 25-mile ride today. Back to the truck. We've got to stop in between, see if we can retrieve Jim's glasses. He forgot and laid them down one of the canyons. We're gonna go down and see if we can retrieve them and head on home. Well, this is called Moki Springs. Kind of an oasis out here in the middle of the desert up on the top of the mountain. As you can see, it just comes right out of the side of a big cave. They got it all set up here for the animals. Can just walk right up and have themselves a drink.
We discovered that this is one of Heidi Red's feed storage caves, and she said take what you need and leave a few dollars for the feed.
Interesting, they got it fenced off so the animals can't get up in the water where it comes out from. Well, I think I'm going to have a big drink and fill my thermos out of that one. That's just coming right out of the mountain. Emmy Lou is thirsty. You notice they put all them little grids in every one of these tanks so that the mice
can get out.
Well, let's see, there's the time. Let's see if I can get a date in here. Today's May 15th. And at 11:08. Well, just a pretty view. We thought we'd give you a look around. We're back up on top again. That's looking off into the LaSalle Mountains that direction. That's in behind Moab. Mi compadre and his fine horse and mule. Gotta take one more zoom in of these needles sticking up out here in the middle of nowhere. Kind of interesting looking geography. Well, we'll give you a look at, those are the Manti-LaSalle Mountains way over in the distance on the other side of the Colorado River. Also, the direction we just came out of Fable Valley. Now looking down off in towards Gypsum Valley, that direction we came through that a couple days ago. And then round to the right, this is Beef Basin again from a different view. We're now much farther to the west. As you can see, that one mountain with that big rock on it right there, we rode right underneath of it when we came down the Beef Basin wash. And those are what they call the LaSalle Mountains on the east side of Moab. Real good view. Also, Heidi was saying that out to the far side of the Beef Basin where we didn't ride, way off in the distance, there's an area there called House Valley. And she said there's some great ruins over in there, and actual cabins of a sort, but they're made out of stone. There's a farming village out in the plains. Well, a little different lighting on the Beef Basin Valley again. It's just real pretty, so we thought we'd take another picture. That's about the way we actually see it right there. Deer galore. Must have been 30-40 head in that herd of deer. Couldn't get the camera out that fast enough. Yeah. Right. Well, it didn't take them long to clear out. There's a few of them back in there you can see, but they're going back through the quaking aspen. Well, looks like that was our last camp here in the Manti La Sal's. We're just now getting aboard, coming out, watering the horses, and heading for the truck. We got about a 25-mile ride today to get to the truck. Then we'll be leaving. This big meadow out here was just full of deer most all the night, and we'd turn little darling loose and she would snort and then she'd take off chasing them. She chased all the deer out of the meadow. She didn't want them out here at all. Big hole in the wall there. Yeah. Now this one's called Kachina Bridge. You can see where the waterfalls goes down in these pools down the bottom. Well, this one here is 106 feet tall by 180 feet wide.
Well, this is the end of video number 3 on our series of Bears Ears to Dark Canyon to Beef Basin to Gypsum Canyon to Fable Canyon, Moki Springs, North Point, and back home. I would be back in about 5 years to show all this to Sherry, and discovered that when I came back, they were all surveyed for excavation for the Smithsonian.
And the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day.